Story, dorm shadows, and late-night strangers. I grew up in a quiet Appalachian town in southern West Virginia. I won't name the college I attended, but it was a tiny university about 15 minutes from home. I was a freshman in 2021, when COVID restrictions were still shaping campus life. Most students avoided dorms and rented off-campus apartments. I couldn't afford that, so I stayed in the nearly empty residence hall, driving home on weekends. I wanted that college experience, even if it felt more like a ghost town. On my first day, I met my assigned roommate. The school had sent her my number a week earlier, which I thought was odd, and she'd texted a few polite messages. In person, she was still polite but strangely detached. One afternoon she remarked, almost like a complaint, "Last semester everyone got their own room. Then you moved in." I just smiled awkwardly and changed the subject, telling her about my weekend routine, leaving Friday and returning early Monday mornings before class. During the week, she rarely stayed in the room anyway, usually crashing with her boyfriend. That first Friday, I packed up and went home. Monday at 6 a.m., I returned, tossed my bag down, and crawled back into bed. My mattress was memory foam, thick and comfortable. 10 minutes later, I felt the edge dip as though someone leaned on it. I froze, half asleep, thinking I must be imagining it. Then the pressure lifted. I rolled over. My roommate, let's call her Sophie, was turned toward the wall, seemingly asleep. I brushed it off and fell back asleep. The next weekend it happened again, only worse. This time the entire side of the mattress sagged, like someone sitting next to me. Then I heard them step off, a heavy drop, like someone jumping from a raised bed. My heart pounded. I looked over. Sophie was lying on her side still. Sleep deprivation. Hallucination. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. But the third Monday, it escalated. I came back, climbed into bed, and within minutes felt the mattress sink again. A hand touched the back of my neck, not squeezing, just resting there. My heart dropped. I stayed perfectly still until the pressure left and the weight shifted away. I finally bolted, leaving the room to call my mom from the hallway. By the end of the day, the school had moved me to another dorm. They asked if I wanted police involvement, but with no proof I declined. I just asked them not to place Sophie with another roommate. After unpacking in my new room, details started coming back. Sophie had once casually mentioned that her previous roommate didn't stay long but wouldn't explain. And she kept a locked drawer of prescription bottles, claiming it was for her skin. Maybe it was. Or maybe it wasn't. A few days later, she texted me to come get a binder I'd left behind. I didn't want to, but I didn't want to raise suspicion either. My old key still worked. When I went back, she wasn't there. Relief flooded me. I grabbed my things and turned to leave, and there she was, standing in the doorway, silent. I forced a smile and squeezed past. "Where's your new room?" she asked flatly. "First floor," I lied. "Which hallway?" "Near the office." "The stairs," she pressed. "I don't remember," I lied again, walking faster. I never saw Sophie after that. I still wonder, was she sleepwalking under the influence of medication? Or was she testing how far she could push before I woke up? My mom believes that hand on my neck wasn't an accident. Story 2, the man in the business building. By my senior year, I'd transferred to a mid-sized college town in Pennsylvania. I wasn't a night owl, but an advanced stats class forced me to spend nights in the business building computer lab. It was an old, 3-story structure with sterile white hallways and that weird, cleaner chemical smell after the janitors left. By 10 p.m., it was deserted. That night, I was buried in data sets when I heard a door slam somewhere deeper inside the building. Not the entrance. A random door. I froze, then brushed it off, maybe HVAC pressure. Minutes later came slow, deliberate footsteps in the hallway outside. They stopped right outside the lab door. My pulse hammered. I couldn't look through the little window. Then the handle rattled hard. The doors lock automatically at night. Whoever it was couldn't get in, but they were trying. After 30 agonizing seconds, the rattling stopped and the footsteps retreated. I forced myself to keep working. 10 minutes later, another sound above me. The ceiling tiles shifting, like weight crawling across them. That was enough. I yanked out my flash drive, stuffed my bag, and bolted. The hall was eerily empty. I hit the stairwell door and shoved it open. On the landing above stood a man. Not a student, not faculty, baggy clothes, shadowed face, lips curled into an unnatural grin. He just stared. I ran, heart slamming against my ribs. My ID card barely unlocked the front door fast enough. I sprinted across campus, not looking back until I was safely in my dorm. Next morning, daylight made the building look normal again. But 2 ceiling tiles were missing, the one above my workstation and one near the corner where I'd seen movement. Someone had been up there waiting. I bought a new laptop that week. I've never stayed late on campus since. Story 3, the blue car at the edge of the lot. My name's Hannah. I'm 20 from Yorkshire. This happened when I was 16, during my first year at a new secondary school. Our school had strict ID lanyards for access beyond the foyer. We were constantly reminded, don't let in anyone you don't recognize. One day, about 2 weeks into term, I just downed a huge bottle of juice at lunch. 20 minutes later, in the middle of geography class, I was desperate to use the bathroom. The teacher reluctantly let me go. During class time, the halls are nearly empty. I walked through the deserted cafeteria, used the bathroom, and returned. That's when I noticed a man sitting alone at one of the tables. Too old to be a student. He had a lanyard, so I assumed staff. "Hey," he said suddenly, making me jump. "Sorry," he chuckled. "Didn't mean to scare you. Could you help me carry some supplies from my car?" I nodded automatically. We walked toward the foyer, out the doors, and along the path toward the parking lot hidden behind shrubs. He was oddly silent. No small talk. His hands fidgeted, moving in and out of his pockets. "My car's the blue one at the end," he finally said. "The bags are in the boot." As we neared it, I saw movement in the back seat, 2 figures crouched low. My stomach dropped. Before I could react, the rear door opened. The man grabbed my arm. Adrenaline surged. I yanked free and sprinted back toward the school. I could hear footsteps chasing me, but then they stopped, probably not wanting to be seen at the glass doors. I slammed into the foyer, ran straight to the cafe worker, and told her everything. Police were called. The men were arrested for attempted kidnapping. Later, investigators learned the man had used a student's lost lanyard to access the building. The ID was flipped backward to hide the photo. I didn't return to school for weeks. Even now, therapy hasn't erased that day. But riding this out feels like reclaiming it.